Πρέπει να έχει κάπου έξοδος. Λέει ο Τζόκερ στο κλέφτη. Υπάρχει πάρα πολύ εισηγησής.
The very top?
The tippy top of the tippy top.
Come the new year, my thoughts turn to, well, the new year. So beyond knowing the actual date, it's really important to me that the calendar that I use to mark time's passage reflect who I am and my relationship with time. I know what you're thinking, Michael, this is just a calendar, but nothing is easy. And specifically, calendars aren't what they used to be. Now they're all in motifs. Civil War motifs, historical motifs. There are lifestyle calendars like the Don't Sweat the Small Stuff calendar, which I almost bought, but it was printed on this egg white paper that was really annoying. There are also calendars that are funny. There's one, the 365 Stupidest Things Ever Said. I can get behind that. There's another one that's an entire year's worth of quotes from our president entitled, They Misunderestimated Me. Now, clearly, sometimes calendars can overlap because the good money says that of the 365 stupidest things ever said, our president is good for a solid 6 months. There are daily calendars that seek to achieve. There's the Achieve Your Daily Dreams calendar, which I totally get behind. There are ones that appeal to the dark side, our darkest fears. The Worst Case Scenario calendar comes to mind. Just when I thought I had the perfect idea for our dysfunctional society, entitled the Achieve Your Worst Case Scenario on a Daily Basis calendar, I saw my future, or at least the next 365 days of it, all in a word-a-day calendar. Now, a word-a-day calendar obviously defines a word a day, which, as a writer, you would think that's a natural for me. But it goes much deeper than that. Because you see, as a kid, I read Marvel comic books, and my favorite group was the X-Men. And my favorite superhero in the X-Men was a guy called the Beast. The Beast was this short, squat guy, and what made him really remarkable was the way he spoke. He had this transcendent vocabulary. He would say things like,
my pedal extremities are humongous.
Translation, my feet are really big. And that really drew me to him, so much so that I started to talk to him, which wasn't a problem until one day my third grade teacher sent a note home with me asking my mother, where is Michael learning all these words that nobody seems to know the meaning of, and what trauma had he suffered that he was speaking so effectively? Anyway, it's a couple years later, my father and I are at home working in the house. My father's got his toolbox out, and in that toolbox is a huge socket wrench set. And apropos of nothing, I reached in and I pulled out an odd-sized socket, and I asked him, what is the possible purpose of a 13/16 socket? And he agreed with me. He said, you're right. It's absolutely useless until that moment when I need it, when it becomes absolutely invaluable. And that really stuck with me, because that's how I look at words. Sockets for my pen. And I wanted a socket for every occasion, because nothing feels as good as that moment when you reach into some dark corner of your mind, you pull out a socket and you clamp it to the page and achieve a snug fit. Now, there is an intended danger in conducting a love affair with words, that your affinity for them may blind you to using them effectively, and that in a feverish frisson you'll slather your prose with luxuriant terms and expressions, committing solecism after solecism, inviting jeremiads from those unwilling to overlook their linguistic peccadillos. Translation, a word a day can lead a writer astray. And that is definitely Greek to me.
Πρέπει να έχει κάπου έξοδος. Λέει ο Τζόκερ στο κλέφτη. Υπάρχει πάρα πολύ εισηγησής.